Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome out to another episode of According to Kaz Queen. And as always, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And these are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys, sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you think, but to always be introspective. We want to open up the lines of communication between husbands and wives, men and women, friends and lovers, all of that good stuff. You know what's happening. We're on all streaming services. Make sure you check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, of course. All right. We are on all social media platforms. All right. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. Make sure that you're following us there. You know, whatever it is, /Kaz and Queen. Check us out there. And of course, we are on YouTube. All right. It's youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. That's youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. You should see it up on the screen right now, inching up closer to 1,000 subscribers, slowly but surely. This is brought to you by the Kundi Collective. All right, www.kundicollective.com. I've got on one of the shirts right now because I'm representing the Korea, Jacktown, my hometown, inspired by one Fifth Child, hip hop artist here in Jackson, Mississippi. You can get this right now at www.kundicollective.com. Going to always rep. And of course, if you have any questions or if you have something that you want us to talk about on this podcast, Kaz and Queen at gmail.com. It's Kaz and Queen at gmail.com. Hit us up. You got a marriage question, relationship question, you want to get our opinions or our thoughts on something that's going on, hit us up, and we'd be glad to do that. Have you got yourself adjusted over there yet? It's just movement going on over there, y'all. Y'all can't even see what's happening. It's just rustling.
I'm having a hard time.
It is just rustling and bustling going over here on this side. What you trying to do?
I don't know. Something just don't feel right.
You about to pull the mics down. It's crazy. Let's go ahead and get this shit on the road, man. At any rate, it's a lot of stuff going on this week, man. But I know you particularly want to talk about something that we wanted to present to you guys. If you're watching it, we want y'all to make sure that y'all get in the comments because we want y'all's thoughts. We want y'all's opinions on it. You asked the question when we were watching the Bob Marley movie. By the way, we're going to talk about that and a couple of other things extensively. But you asked the question about which path you would rather take in life. I want you to, give that question again because you said it so eloquently. But I want to talk about that a little bit because I think that's important, especially after watching that movie.
So my question was, would you prefer to live a life of peace and happiness and joy and riches, ease, per se, just kind of flow through life, easy breezy, and not have an impact, not touch people, not change things, not stamp the world?
Right.
Or would you rather stamp the world and struggle?
And that is a very powerful question. It's something that I told you that I struggle with myself. Would you rather have a life of riches and non-relevance, non-impact, the moment that you leave this earth, your memory, all the works that you did while you were here, all of that gone, vanished, no one talking about it. Your kids are not talking about it. Your family's not talking about it. You didn't leave an impact with anybody that you worked with. You didn't leave an impact with anybody that you came in contact with at all, period. But you lived comfortably and you lived a life of riches. Or would you rather be in the struggle, in a constant struggle that a lot of our civil rights leaders and a lot of our social justice warriors have seemingly assigned to their lives? Would you rather have a life of struggle, ebbs and flows, not really knowing what's going to happen in your life, but after you leave here, your impact lasts through generations? Your name goes on past generations, things that you have created, things that you have put together. Your impact lasts and your name lasts, and you leave this earth in a better place than when you found it, revered down through generations. So I know we talked about, when we were talking about this on last night, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
I think it's one of those things that throughout life, you're going to probably have, as you have different versions of yourself, you may find that you have different answers to this question depending on what season you're in. As we are getting to the time in our lives where there are more days behind us than in front of us, I think the perspective is just a tad bit different for me. But it's important for me to have my name mean something. I think of that when I think about Greek mythology, like that was a driving force for most of the heroes. They wanted to have a legacy. They wanted their name to live on and on and on and on. And so, I think that's important to me. I think it's important mostly because I am a female child of a father who has transitioned. So the Spencer name, I don't have that name. I didn't keep Spencer. I became a Franklin. So I have to make Spencer be a part of me as a Franklin. So that's really significant to me. Plus, I think there's something to be said for the ebbs and flows. If your life is really easy and you're not, and you don't find trials and tribulation at any point, how much growth can be in that? Because the blessings come from the lessons. So it's kind of like you can have the ebbs and flows. I mean, you can have it easy, breezy. I don't know how significant that existence would be for me.
Right.
I just don't think that not being able to figure out something, learn something, teach something, be something, I don't know how you'd be able to do that without having to have some trials and tribulation. It just seems like it'll just be real even.
Blah. Mundane.
Mundane. That's a good word.
I mean, wow. I've been at different stages and, like we were talking, I'm at one of those stages where I'm kind of rethinking that. And then I rethought it again and then went back to where I was, because in the ebbs and flows, in the peaks and the valleys, you're saying to yourself, I wish that things were easier. I wish that I was more comfortable. You want to be comfortable. You want to be able, we were talking the other day about, being in these situations where, families are, one emergency away from financial hardship, a water heater going out, a phone breaking in the case of these days with these expensive phones, a tree falling on your roof. Like, storm just came through a few days ago and there were some people that had, tree damage or falling on your car or your transmission going out, one calamity, one emergency away from being in a financial hole. And that's a horrible place to be right on the edge and just teetering on the edge all the time. And when you're younger, you're kind of okay with kind of surfing on the edge, because when you're younger, you think you're invincible and you think that everything is going to work itself out. Then when you get older and you have responsibilities and you have kids, that gets frustrating and it gets exhausting to have to deal with. So then I said, well, I don't know if I wouldn't trade my life now to be, financially well off and live in a, on a back road somewhere at the end of the road where nobody knows who I am and I don't ever come out in public. Nobody ever sees me, but I'm able to enjoy a peaceful life, not have any issues, and anything that I desire, I can get at that time. And then you turn around a few hours later and you think about it and you're like, nah, I can't. I feel like I was put here to do something, and I feel like I want my name and I want the works that I have done to live on past me. I want people to come up to my kids, like students that my mother taught, come up to me and tell me about the impact that she had on their lives. Mm-hmm. That's what I want people to say to my kids when they're out in the world, especially the youngest. I think the older kids, the grown kids, they get that a little bit now. But, when I'm no longer here and my daughter, my 14-year-old is, 50 years old, I want her to run into people like I run into people right now that say that your mother impacted my life. She's one of the best teachers I ever had. I still remember this. I still remember that. Or people that run into me and say, you know, I ran into your dad when he was working at Sam's, and I ran into him at the door, and we had this significant of a conversation, and he was funny and he was charming. And every time they see me, they tell me another story about him.
But even if it's just at a family reunion and you're talking about your family and the impact that you know, people had on your lives, I don't think that impact has to be gigantic. Impact can be 3 people that you met, that your children.
True indeed.
You know, and I think that we all earn the ability or the good fortune if we've done service work, if we've given of ourselves, if we have done things that create an impact. Mm-hmm. I think you earn the being able to go down the street and live in the house with, you know, choosing whether you want to participate in the world outside or not. You know, I think you get to earn that. I think we're on our way to earning that. And so it's not like you can have both. It's just a season.
Yeah. You know how mad...
Or both can exist, not like you got to have it.
You know how mad Killmonger was at Wakanda? I mean, you know, whether or not you feel like he was a villain or a hero, whatever the case, the fact that Wakanda had all the resources in the world for all of those years to be able to change the plight of black folk in the world through slavery, through civil rights, through Martin Luther King, all of that, even through slavery.
Exactly.
The worst, you know, of the worst for black folk being transported from Africa to the States. You know, in the comic book lore, Wakanda had the technology and the means to be able to arm black folk all over the world and prevent what happened to us from happening to us. And they stood back and they did nothing. They hoarded their riches. They stayed secluded. They stayed peaceful. They stayed out of the way. They didn't bother anybody. And we're going to stay over here so nobody bothers us. But the world around them was suffering. Black folk around them were suffering.
Yes, baby. Preach
and they did
that.
not do anything to save that plight. So that's kind of where I am when I think about this. Black folk are suffering all around me. Human beings are suffering all around me. And even in my little small state, I have the means and the ability to possibly help in some kind of way. So for me to just look and do nothing would be stupid for me to do that.
I absolutely 1,000% agree.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my thought process on that. So we were watching the Marley movie, and I was just amazed at, you know, what he was dealing with and what he was going through being a political activist and being a peacemaker in a country, in a warring country, and how for him the message was more important than even the music itself. Very little talk about how the music is going to sound. There were some few instances where he was talking about, I need my sound to be different. I need you to do this. You know, they had that part, but all of it was about the message that I'm trying to use this music to deliver, the vehicle that's going to deliver this message. And if you are not down with this, then you can't be down with what it is that I'm doing. Getting shot at, his wife getting shot, getting himself involved politically, all of those things aside, he could have just made music. He could have just made Exodus, and he could have just toured the world, and he could have completely distanced himself from his country. At the height of his popularity, he flew back to Jamaica and put his life in danger to do a peace concert to bring 2 factions together, which were led by 2 white people. But I digress. We'll get into that later. But he put his life on the line. How many artists do you know at the top of their game? Just imagine something happening in Los Angeles or something happening, you know, Rick Ross is from Mississippi, but just imagine something happening, civil war or some type of warring thing happening, and, you know, Drake or Kendrick or J. Cole put their life in danger to go perform in front of 50,000 people to try to bring factions together. It's the equivalent of that in this day. So it was wild to me, but I know for you, it held a lot of significance because when I met you, you were listening to Bob Marley, and Bob Marley is somebody that you listen to frequently. You were, a reggae head. You know a lot of the reggae records. I thought that was very sexy about you to know that. Significant for me because I smoke a significant amount of weed. So, there's that as well. But in watching the movie and kind of getting that little microcosm of his life, what did you take away from it?
I took away that he was a very spiritual person. Mm-hmm. He was a messenger. It made me reflect on the fact that in our society, we have to have pastors or spiritualists or people who speak about goodness and love. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They have to look a certain kind of way. Mm-hmm. They have to be classified in some kind of way. Something has to be measurable. So there was so much in his music, so much power, so much elevation in his music. It was good for me to be able to see. It was good for me to be able to see the process because people create all the time. All the artists out there who allow themselves to tap in to the love, to the God in them and create these masterpieces. It was an example of that for me. It was encouraging for me because you don't have to look a certain kind of way to let God use you, to surrender to God's will and purpose over your life. Mm-hmm. So it really meant a lot to me to see that because I've always had a connection to him, but I didn't know as much about his story as I thought I did.
Right.
So it was good to see other parts of the story. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, he was my dad's favorite artist. So he listened to him all the time. Mm-hmm. So it was an emotional thing for me watching it because I felt and asked my daddy to come and watch the movie with us. And there were moments where I was over there like trying not to cry because every song just was pouring down memories from my childhood. Mm-hmm. So, but I cut it off because I didn't want you to have to deal with me dealing with that. Mm-hmm. But I don't even know if the movie was so good or if it was so amazing. I don't know. I plan to watch it again because the first time, I don't know that the movie was even really about him so much as it was about my daddy for me. Mm-hmm. So I plan to watch it again, but I found, that the creativity, the tapping into his soul, the fact that all the musicians had to live with him because he never knew when he was going to be inspired to write something.
Yeah.
That's magical to me.
The good ones do that though.
There's no way that you can miss when
you're there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can get up and you can create at any time. That's the amazing part about art. And there are some artists who do that in this day and age, especially when there's some bands. Especially it's the thing about bands, indie bands, as they start off, they spend a lot of time together, and a lot of times they're living in the same house, or the drummer's sleeping on the guitarist's couch or whatever the case is. And you can get up and you can practice on licks and you can come up with different phrases and all kinds of things. That spontaneity and the creativity is what the great ones are able to do. And not everybody's able to do that. It's something that I've always wished that I was able to do, but I got to wait, to get with a producer for us to mesh, to get together and see if the song fits, or I got to wait before I can go in and lay the lyrics down. It would be great if I was able to create the music and the template for whatever it is I want to do in-house, or have them to live with me. If you made beats, if you were a producer and we had the equipment to be able to do it, we could wake up and roll over at 2 a.m. and jot something down and come up with something, because that's when a lot of the great ideas come. So it was amazing, to kind of watch that. I do have a question though, because I see this a lot. A lot of the great men that, have passed on or were very politically astute or stood for something along the lines. I just say the civil rights leaders, whether they be foreign or domestic, what was their deal with having so many women? All of them were womenizers for the most part. And even now in these days, of course, whether you want to admit to it or not, Martin Luther King did his thing. And I think everybody knew
they were celebrities. They might have been a different type or involved in a different industry, but they were still celebrities. Celebrities get ass. Here, people out there who just want to be with a celebrity. They're a celebrity.
Does it take away from the effectiveness? I mean, of course, a lot of people will say no.
It was part of the culture, actually.
Yeah. So it was just part of the culture, and it was understood if you were the wife of a civil rights leader, whether it was Martin Luther King or Jesse Jackson or Stokely or whoever it was in whatever particular sense, Bob Marley, any of those people, it was just understood at some point that you were going to dilly-dally.
But, yeah, and Rastafarians may not even feel like they may be, not really into monogamy. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, don't quote me on that. But I know that, they liken themselves to a lot of ancient traditions. So.
Getting ass. Getting ass. Like, I remember the scenes where the wife that had been with him from the very beginning talked about taking care of his kids and then the outside kids that he brought in, and the point where she walked in at the party and he was talking to the other stuff, and it'd be killing me because they'll run outside and be like, what's going on, what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
What's the matter with you?
What do you mean what's wrong with me?
You see me talking over here to these women? That's all I'm doing. What's wrong with you? Why you mad?
He was mad that she was talking to somebody. That's how they got outside.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
In front of the club.
Yeah, when they was out in the street at that point.
He was mad that she was talking to somebody.
Oh. And then be mad if that woman goes out and does their thing.
And she basically told him, I don't know what you thought this was. You are not going to be able to go out there and do everything you want to do while I take care and fix all this mess you making. And I ain't going to talk to nobody, do nothing, have somebody for myself. Sis wasn't going. She wasn't with it.
I don't care if
he didn't even have an argument for that either.
I don't care if you are the biggest artist in the world right now.
I do care that you are the biggest artist in the world. That's how come it's not all in your face.
I mean, well, yeah. She could not do it.
She could not do it. Or she could do it the way men do it and don't know how to do it.
No, I think y'all are way better at that.
It's true.
Speaking of which.
Wait a minute.
Segue.
Wait a minute. Where you going with this?
Lucille and Charles. Let's talk about Lucille and Charles on BMF for 1 second. Charles. So, for those of you that have not been following BMF in this season, Loretta. Is it Loretta?
Who is Loretta?
Who is it? Lucille. I say Loretta. That just sounds like an old black lady name anyway. Loretta.
And Lucille sounds like a church lady.
It does. She is a church lady.
She is.
She was asked to be assistant pastor. But Charles is, we know in season 2, Charles cheated on Lucille with the lady across the street or down the street or whatever the case is. Lucille found out, put Charles out of the room. He had to sleep on the couch or downstairs in the other room or I think in Meech's room, whatever the case is. He's been excommunicated in his house. He's been trying to work his way.
She tried to put him out, but he wouldn't leave.
He wouldn't leave.
The bills.
He is paying the bills in the house. Well, no, actually, them 4 at Wendy's is paying the bills.
He got the house or built the house or something.
Something.
His name on the house.
His name is on the house. So he said he's not leaving. So, of course, Lucille has met the doctor. The doctor is wooing her. And now there's a little tete-a-tete with, Charles and the doctor's been in the house, and the doctor sent flowers to the house. Audacious. And Charles got audacious is not even the word. I don't.
I don't know if I would talk to him anymore after that. For real, if I was her, I don't think I would. After that, I don't think because
you wouldn't talk to the doctor anymore.
I don't think I would.
Why?
Because there's something about a man who knows that I am married and I am in the house. It might be on the rocks, but I'm in the house and he in the house. It's something about from what she's given him. She hasn't given him enough for him to think
she's giving him a
that
good
it's
bit.
Okay for him. Like he's like trying to mark his territory and she hasn't given him permission to do that.
It's pretentious of him to leave it.
I feel like it's also controlling, and I think he's just kind of trying to show up with some big dick energy, which for me would be a problem because I haven't worked this out yet, sir. Sir, give me a minute.
He's definitely trying to shit on Charles. He shit all over him right then at that point.
And he really just got to show up because Charles ain't hard to beat.
Which is tough because Charles is trying. You know, he wrote
that
eloquent song. Charles wrote that eloquent song that he put together and came in there, thought he sung his way back into some ass now.
He got it.
He sung his way back into some ass. Kudos to you, Charles, but it wasn't enough. She literally was just using you to go ahead and get her rocks off. She let you get off in there.
She loves this man. He sang to her, which is probably what got her down with him to begin with. He sang to her. She let go of all her inhibitions, and she was like, "Okay, you can have it."
You're moving too fast. What was that song?
I don't know. Don't do it though, please. Don't.
Moving so fast. Charles came in there and sang that song.
What is your question, man?
My question is Lucille wrong for how she doing Charles? She told Charles that, well, I agree with her on, this is not a competition. I'm going to choose who I want to be with.
Right.
But, is she wrong for stringing this along? Or, no, let me say not stringing along. Is she wrong for, you know what?
Weighing her options?
I'm talking it through right now while I'm talking. And all of my questions don't make a whole lot of sense right now. But what I'm saying is because she making them work for it, which
no, she is not. She is standing up for herself. Something she has not done in her life ever. She's standing up for herself. She's made it very clear to both of the dudes what she on. Now, if they down with it and she can get a kiss from the doctor in the car and get a little bit from him and she could get a little bit from Charles because he's so guilty and he feels so bad. Oh, well.
That was more than just a kiss with the doctor in the car.
She was trying to give him some. Baby, she was trying to give him some. Trust me.
I don't think she was trying to give him some. I think he was trying to get some. Because if she was going to give him some, she'd have just gave him some.
I think we could go back and watch it, but I really feel like she was trying to give him some. She was very excited.
He's been ready since she came to the office and he had
but
up against the wall.
Now he wants her to choose. He wants her to make a decision. And she is like...
Did he say that?
That's what he wants.
I don't know if that's what he wants. I think he wants some ass.
Were you asleep?
No, I watched it.
Are you sure?
It looked to me like he was in the car, like he was trying to get some ass at that moment. I didn't hear him say nothing about it.
In the car?
Yes, I did.
Did you see her all up on him like...
Yes, yes. And the breathing hard and the man was almost about
So you don't think that indicated that she wanted some?
But she was like that when she was in the doctor's office when they was up against the wall. She did the same thing.
That was the one push off. You get one push off. If she come back and she do it again, she not pushing them off no more.
Well, they didn't do it.
That one push off was enough for her to digest it within herself to say, all right, do you want it or do you not want it? So the fact that she put herself back in a situation with him where a push off could happen and she did it again, she not pushing off no more. If she show back up to him, she ready.
The nigga didn't hit though.
It wasn't because he couldn't. I think he didn't hit.
We got to go back and look at it again because I saw nothing in that scene that indicated that he was trying to hit and she was not letting him hit.
She wanted to hit, but we'll watch it again. We'll watch it again and we'll come back if anything's different because maybe we fell asleep.
So how long do you think, all things being equal, if this is a real situation, how long do you have Charles to string along here?
Charles is not being strung along.
So he's just supposed to just wait in that house he gonna wait.
He can leave at any time
for Lucille, but he built the house with his hands. Is what he said.
Yeah, but
He ain't paying no bills.
Is not
but
making
he said he
him
built
stay.
the house. with his
Lucille
hands.
is not making him stay.
No, where he gonna go?
That's not Lucille's
He go to
issue.
he go to Atlanta and sell dope with Meech.
That's not Lucille's issue. That's a him thing.
What? Him not paying the bill?
Leaving or staying.
Okay, what I'm saying is, if he paying,
Because Meech can pay the bills.
well, that's true. Well, did they stop taking money from Meech?
He did, but if he ain't there, his mama take it.
She making them 4 for 4s.
They didn't have 4 for 4s back then.
I mean, maybe they didn't call them 4 for 4s, but it was Wendy's. They had some, that was probably when the double stacks was real big.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember when the double stacks was huge and now they done got real tiny? I be thinking sometimes, is it because we grew up and our hands got big, or is it because the burger actually got small?
Y'all, for those of you who cannot see his face, he is tripping himself out over here. As he speaks, it's clicking in his head at the same time.
Listen,
this
man,
is probably stupid. I shouldn't say this.
This is not
but he's
stupid. This is a
committed.
legitimate question.
He's committed.
You know when you were little and you got a Big Mac
You
at
gonna repeat
McDonald's?
it? You
no,
repeating
listen.
it?
Listen, I'm saying this is a legitimate ass question.
Okay, go.
When you were little and you went to McDonald's and you got a Big Mac, that shit was big in your hands. Wasn't it?
I didn't eat Big Macs.
What did you eat? Quarter pounder?
I didn't eat McDonald's. I had a mama that took me home.
She said we got McDonald's at home.
Yes.
Yeah. I got it occasionally too.
We never got McDonald's.
You never got McDonald's?
No,
that's
ever.
tough.
My
We
mama
did.
made burgers, and it wasn't the ones with the onions in it, but it wasn't no buns. We
It's
had
just
regular
bread.
bread, and you got cheese. You had options. You got cheese, or you got ketchup, or you got mayo and whatever.
Listen, let me tell you.
Whatever.
Actually, now
Mustard.
that's even better than McDonald's. I'll take that any day. As a grown up, I'll take that burger at the house on the bread.
Well,
Any day.
especially if you make it, because you make magnificent burgers.
I do. My burgers are the bomb.
They are.
Back to what I'm saying.
Okay, go.
When I got the Big Mac used to be big in my
He went
hand.
back to that. He went back to the
Now
Big
I
Mac.
can take a Big Mac and I can just hold it in one hand. I don't eat red meat, but I'm just saying now.
You got big.
My hands got bigger.
Yeah.
So, but some people are saying that they actually shrunk. Beside, you done seen the cheeseburgers that you done got from
It could be both.
the double cheeseburger you get from Burger King. You see how small that thing is? They done
Yeah.
shrunk it.
I mean, yeah,
Maybe
possibly.
we grew.
I don't know.
Maybe a little
I'm not
kid,
really- I'm
a little
not-
kid gets the double cheeseburger. Maybe they like, wow.
I'm
this
gonna
is
be
a lot of
honest
burger.
with you. This is not really. I don't care. But I
mean,
feel
it's
you.
important. If the food is
Is
shrinking,
it?
I think that's an important thing to talk about. If the food is shrinking,
But you don't eat it anyway.
no, I don't.
How's it affecting you?
I eat a fillet of fish.
It's the
And
same
it
size.
feels no.
It feels small
like
as
it's
well.
a little smaller too as well. That's why I get a double fillet of fish now
Oh,
when
really?
I get it. Yeah,
It could be getting smaller.
that's a real issue. I don't know if you poo pooing the issue, but there are people like
Baby,
me.
everything is
I'm
going
concerned
up.
about
The
the
prices
size of
of
the fillet of
everything is
fish.
going up. It's not that hard to fathom that you get smaller portions for more money. That's not hard to fathom.
I don't know. I'm gonna start paying attention to that because it's crucial out here. I need my food to be regular size
Heard.
if that's possible. At any rate, it has nothing to do with Lucille and Charles. I just wanted to get your thoughts
I don't
on
think
that.
it's a time frame on how much time she gives.
I also
Charles.
feel like, not to cut you off, I also feel like she chose Charles because Charles got her pregnant when she was young. And I told you that. You remember I told you that?
I told you that, baby. Don't sit up here and act like
She
you
was
said
talking.
that.
No, I'm not going to let you do that. 'Cause
No,
she was
I
talking
said
to her
it
daughter.
first, and you act like I ain't said it like you do all the time, and then you came up with this bright idea like you had never heard it before, and suddenly it's your idea.
You was like, no, that ain't what she's saying. When she was
She
talking,
wasn't saying that, and we wasn't talking about the same thing.
when she was talking to her daughter, that's what she meant. I don't want you to get pregnant early and have to stick with the dude who got you pregnant. Is that what we said?
Yep, that's what we said, baby.
Now you just cutting it off now.
Because we are not talking about the same thing. You keep trying to bring it back to this one subject, and that is not where the disagreement happened. The disagreement happened someplace else. But anyway, what I'm saying is I agree with you. She married to Charles and got stuck because you got pregnant. That's never been the argument. You keep going back to that like you had to convince me of that. And then he want to switch the subject like
I'm not switching the subject. I'm staying.
Conversation.
I'm staying. I didn't lose.
You did lose.
That's fine. I lost. Charles said it's a reason why you picked me back then. She should have said I picked you because you got me pregnant. Because that's what happened, I feel.
She picked him because he sang to her.
You're moving too fast. I cannot get the melody in my head to sing that song. It was stuck in my head for several days.
Them R&B dudes, man, you gotta watch them. Gotta watch them. Women find it hard to resist.
Really?
A man that can sing.
That's something. Also, watching the episode of Martin the other night. This was the episode where Gina and Martin were giving their account of the first night that they met and how different those accounts were. And I wanted to ask you, I want you to give your story in a condensed version of the night that we met.
Our stories are the same.
Have we?
Yeah.
I know we talked about meeting, but I want to make sure what happened before you walked up to me is what I'm saying. When you was across the room, what was going on?
There was something that happened across the room.
I don't know. I'm asking you what happened
You
before you
talking
walked up
about
to
upstairs in the penthouse?
me. In the penthouse?
Was it the penthouse?
On the mezzanine where the awards was taking place?
That. Same thing.
You went up to the penthouse?
No, boy, what you talking about? So what'd you say? What'd you say now?
Watch yourself now. Let's go take a turn for you. Let's go take a turn.
Wait a minute, baby. What you talking about?
I'm talking about you when you was walking on the mezzanine. When you walked, I was coming from one way, you was coming from the other. Where was you coming from? What happened?
Talking about when I got off the elevator.
Uh-oh.
And I walked over to you. You was standing. You didn't come.
You wasn't
me.
getting off the elevator. You was walking towards me. I was coming up the escalator.
You would no, baby. You was standing.
And
right
here's my
there.
point, ladies and gentlemen. This is two stories.
When I got off the elevator and walked over, you were standing there. You didn't meet me. Or maybe you did meet me, but that wasn't the first time we conversed. When I walked up to you and I said, hey, because we had seen each other downstairs. We did see each other getting off the elevator, but you went one way and I went another way. So when I finally walked into you, you said, how you doing? Will you marry me? And I was like, yes, of course I'll marry you. And that was that. That's how we met. Yes?
Baby, you was not getting off no elevator when I walked into you. Where you get the elevator from?
Are you talking about downstairs?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about upstairs on the mezzanine. You know what the mezzanine is, right?
You talking about the Jackson Music Awards?
Yes.
I'm telling you what I did. I walked into that room. That's where they had Leadership Jackson things at. I walked into that room and you was standing in the doorway. And that's when you said what you said. What are you saying? You
was on the mezzanine. We was on the mezzanine where everybody, the inside of the awards is here. The area outside of the doors where the awards was, that's where we ran into each other at. That's the mezzanine.
Yes. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm talking about later when we conversed. We didn't really talk right then. You said, hey. I don't think
I saw you again when I said, will you marry me? Because I was looking for you, remember?
Brad, you found me upstairs in the room where the Leadership Jackson people had a thing. Our conversation downstairs was hey and bye.
That room was the room where your partner came up to me.
I wasn't even nowhere around at that point.
Right. You was gone.
Yes.
Because I was looking for you.
Our meeting, the reason why you were looking for me was brief. I said, hey. You said, hey. You said, how you doing? I said, how you doing? And I kept going. I had a mission. By the time I got to where I was going, you were there. And you were standing there at the edge like you was on a rap cover. And I walked over to you. I walked in and you were there. And you said, will you marry me? And I said, sure, I will. Where do you think you said that at?
On the mezzanine.
That's wrong.
I don't think so.
Oh, my God.
And therein lies the experiment, ladies and gentlemen, and the episode, because we have two completely conflicting stories about where our first encounter
And only
was.
one of them is true.
That is correct. And it is mine.
Mine.
It is mine.
So, Brad, so we didn't go upstairs at all?
I saw you on the mezzanine. I saw you. I said, hello, will you marry me? You said sure.
No.
When you, what?
No.
What?
No. I did not. Why were you looking for me then?
I was looking for you because I was looking for you from that encounter, but I
No.
never found you.
No. When you were looking for me, that happened before the question. You didn't say anything. That's why you were looking for me, because I walked away so fast. We separated so quickly. That's why you were looking for me. When we finally saw each other again upstairs at the damn thing, when you were standing at the I cannot believe that you don't believe it. You don't know this. You were not. I was so, and I know for a fact because my mind was on one thing, and that was the only thing on my mind, which is why
You keep on bringing that up. What was that?
Because that's why I did not give you my attention, which is what led you to want to find me, because we didn't complete the conversation. And when you did see me again, the first thing out of your mouth was what I said it was. You're not going. You should stop, because you are just alleviating the whole part of the whole story like it didn't even happen. The looking for me, finding me just walking into you, that's what makes the story magical.
Yes. We agree on that one part where I said, will you marry me? And you said, sure. We agree that happened at some point in the night. We differ on where that conversation took place.
Is this over?
This part of the conversation is over. If that's what you got as your explanation of what happened, your account of the events on that night, it is over. But what's not over is Love and Life is coming up as we get ready to wrap up season 3 on our next episode, on episode 75. We're going to wrap up 3 seasons of According to Kaz Queen, and we're getting ready for Love and Life on May the 4th at the Synergy Link. It is our annual panel discussion with couples, dating, married, divorced, single folks. Nothing is off limits. It's an adult conversation, and we are looking forward to it. And what about you?
Yep.
That's it?
I'm looking forward to it. The lineup, the people we got on the panel are phenomenal. They are always phenomenal. This year will be no different.
Mm-hmm.
We tell them up front, you got to be candid.
That's
It
right.
might be somebody in the audience that needs to hear what you got to say, or it might be somebody who can lend to whatever situation you're going through. So we are very serious about having the conversation be real and having the conversation be light and, enjoyable, but also informative and encouraging. So we will figure out, if you got an issue, we'll figure out how to fix that issue right there and there.
There
So,
it is.
come
Well,
on
maybe not right on the spot,
But we'll have people
we'll give you some
who have
suggestions.
been. We've always had somebody in the audience who has been through it or who can speak to it, and it'll give you some perspective.
There it
I like
is.
that.
There it is. So make sure you check out Love and Life, May the 4th, Jackson, Mississippi, Synergy Link building. It is the 12th installment of our annual panel discussion. It's always a good time, always a great conversation. All right, so
Grown-ups, no
grown-ups,
kids allowed.
No kids allowed. There it is. So with that being said, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is According to Kaz Queen, and we're going to holler at you guys next time. Peace and power.
Peace.